Greetings, Pool Player Nation, and welcome to continuing coverage of this year's Mosconi Cup on Billiards Digest Live, presented by the APA. I'm Jason Bowman, and I'm joined by Mike Panozzo from Alexandra Palace in London. Mike, after a dreadful day one for Team USA, we were holding out hope on day two for a miracle that unfortunately never came. And while the scoreline was slightly better, the outcome, again, largely the same.
Yeah, no, not what we were looking for yesterday. It was a Federer Gorst heavy lineup, and the idea was to get him rolling, to get him some table time and show his stuff. And really, he should have won 2 out of the first 3 matches, which would have given America a little momentum, a little something good to sleep on. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and then the final match of the day was a train wreck. So yeah, we're in a deep hole. And a lot of question marks about the lineup, about the way the players are playing, about the difference in the level of play. So that's why I've got my main man, Carl Boys here, the pundit for all the Matchroom World 9-Ball Tour events, including the Mosconi Cup. And Carl, what did you make of yesterday? You saw the lineup coming out beginning of yesterday. Did you think that was a bad move, a good move? It's always a bad move when it doesn't work out well.
Yeah, hindsight.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, when I seen the lineup, I wasn't like thinking it's a bad move, but to put all hopes on Federer playing in London, not, used to this crowd. I know he's won a lot. I know a lot of Americans think he's the best player in the world. Other people have different views. More Europeans, we think Federer's the best player in the world.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, there could be arguments for both, so whatever. But in that environment, in that setting, when Federer's produced and Federer's not, he's obviously going to be second favourite. Obviously, the fact that he was playing Federer first, and then Sanchez released, could have won the Sanchez match. Obviously, missed the 7.
Yeah.
A lot of the players. Obviously, Jason Shaw, definitely, they all felt Federer would struggle a little bit in the cup. I did a little bit as well. I didn't come here and play like Federer or Jason or Albin. I just feel like it's quite rare to do that. And obviously, I think the fact that he was representing USA playing here, obviously, he was under so much pressure. Maybe the most pressure any players ever had to face.
Yeah, although he hasn't gotten as much heat as I think we were expecting for him to get, right?
Yeah, but I think European crowds changed over the last few years. I think it used to be like.
Is it empathy, sympathy? Is it?
I don't think it's that. I just think, listen, 7-1. It's a bit like if it was like 4-3, 4-4. It
would be a lot. Yeah, atmosphere would be different.
Yeah, so I get that, but I just feel like over the years the European fans have not been as brutal. I always used to think like it was like last year in Las Vegas. It was so loud continuously throughout every match all day as we're in there. I feel like there's been moments where it's been quiet, almost like when the few USA fans are chanting, that wakes the European crowd up. So I think it's changed a lot. But again, the scoreline's not helped. But Federer was always good against. Even when I seen that first match, could have nicked that, and then maybe the Sanchez match. Then obviously 4-2. Sort of back in the game, aren't you? But
it's a lot of weight to put on one match at the end of the day.
Exactly, and especially when you put it on him. So I wasn't surprised, but I would have liked to have seen Skyler in one of them.
Yeah, I think of a lot of Americans who kind of second guess the option of not having Skyler, play it all yesterday. So
yeah, but it's like I sort of get what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
before down, but. Yeah, I was a little surprised Skyler wasn't.
Well, I think he was figuring to load up Skyler on Wednesday. I mean, on the third day, which would be today, Friday. And he was hoping that Federer could get him 2 out of those 3 points at the beginning of the day, then come strong with Federer with Sky on day 3. That would have been a good scenario, but obviously it didn't work out. Where does America go from here? Where does America go from here today? What's their mindset got to be?
I mean, you got to be realistic. Are they going to win the cup? No, but don't make it hammering. Just, maybe JJ should be having words saying, listen, boys, you don't want this to be like a complete boot and an embarrassment. If you go in with that mindset and things happen, maybe they can just claw a few back. You don't know. We're talking about Skylar Woodward. Jason Shaw doesn't really seem to have featured either.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, obviously, yesterday, the way it went and the way the teams could have been picked, and obviously one singles on day one. It's just the sort of, the way it's fell, and obviously we pulled a match, and then today looks like it's going to be 3 matches unless USA manage to win some points. It might be a 4th game, so it's all a bit strange. But obviously 7-1. It's just Europe going to come out. They're going to that. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're freewheeling at this point.
Even if
nothing.
even if you was playing US Open, you 7-1 in a singles match. You've got the same mindset, haven't you?
Especially with alternate breaks.
Yeah, alternate or win a break. Whatever. If you're 7-1 in a pool match,
you feel pretty good.
Race to 11, you're like, all right, happy days. So the other guy's always going to be under it. But in this format, where obviously you're coming down just to play that race to 5, it's tough for USA.
Yeah. One singles match today, Skylar and Jason. At least it'll be something the crowd will get into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Skylar's going to play a lot today. Jason's involved in all 3 games, so it's going to be obviously Jason, the way he plays, but the way he gets the crowd involved. He knows that's what gets the Americans a little bit. That's all part of the cup and the gamesmanship that he brings to it. But Skylar's seen it all and done it all, so you just never know.
Yeah. Jason, that's what we got here so far. Looking forward to today. What do you got?
Well, it's interesting to hear Carl touch on Federer. I mean, obviously much of the outcome of Team USA on day 2 rested on Federer's shoulders. And when it was announced earlier this year that he'd be joining Team USA, it generated so much excitement for Team USA fans, believing he'd be a big difference maker. But again, after dropping both racks of the team match, he's now gone 1-3 in the Cup. And again, he's certainly one of the top players in the world. But what has gone wrong with Federer in London? I mean, is it just not used to the crowd? Is it the pressure of changing sides? I know he recently changed equipment. It just doesn't, he had some bad safety play yesterday. He just didn't look, he didn't look like what we had hoped he would. And I'm curious why that is.
Well, Kyle, you can speak to that. You know what it's like for players coming in for the first time, and they can be at the top of the world in terms of, 9-ball open events and things like that. Why is this so different the first time you play?
I think it's just obviously such a big thing. The players meet up a week before, 2 weeks. There's a lot of media around it. The crowd's going to be there. It's on live TV. This brings a whole new different audience to the event. It's not like a regular pool tournament where, I don't know if Federer's been going to a pool room in Chicago or something and winning one of them weekend events. There's no media to it. There's nothing really to it. It's just collecting the cash. This is, of course, a lot different. So when you go out in front of that crowd, especially in Europe, it's not like if he was in America, like even when he played the US Open, everyone was, for him. So if it was in America, maybe that would make him feel a little bit more comfortable. I think, I say it every year, I feel like the team point for USA this year was massive.
Yeah.
Looking at that lineup, you have Jason and Al played multiples together. Alvin's on unbelievable player. When you're throwing Filler out, that's just easy work for Filler. And you've got 2 Spanish boys who are best friends. I mean, it's like a dream lineup for Europe. Yeah. That's where, SVP, he's up and down in the cup. He misses a lot of silly balls where you just don't see him do it in singles. So he's playing with Tyler. Then you've got all hope Woodward, but Filler can drill anyone.
Right.
And then you put in 2 rookies out. Right?
So how do you change your game to play in this format and on this equipment? What do you have to do differently than you do in other matches?
I think you've just got to literally forget about what's going on. You've got to really stay focused on the table. Federer's played a lot of pool matches. He's won a lot of titles. He knows that table. And when you go back into the practice room, everyone's just got to be on the same room. There can't be any bad feeling in the practice room. Because once you go away from that table, you're back in there, and you just got to forget about it and get back out there cheering for the next player. SVB, still my worry, sits there moping, sulking.
Yeah. Well, he was like Mr. Cheerleader.
He's practicing in the VIP room. I don't know if he's going in the team room. You just, Johan, these guys would not allow that to happen.
Yeah. Well, we know you got to run because you've got live commentary to get ready for, but we appreciate your being here with us.
No worries.
Thanks. Cheers.
Good luck, USA.
Now, Mike, I know you also had a chance to catch up last night after day 2 with Federer. Let's take a look at that interview to hear what he had to say about his performance and being in the spotlight.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Federer, you knew coming into today they were going heavy with you. What was the thought process? What did Jeremy talk to you about in making that decision?
Well, we knew that we had to start strong today because we lost day one 4-0. That's why we made the lineup like we did, with me starting with two singles and playing a doubles right after. In case I should have won at least one of the two. That was the plan, and I had the chance against Francisco to when I lost Hill against the filler was
it was a little tougher go.
Tougher, yeah. But yeah.
And how did you feel when you got your first Mosconi Cup? Pressure on you after day one, being down 4-0. All of a sudden, you're running out the first three matches of the day. Did you sleep well? Did you, were you confident in going in there?
Honestly, I felt really good on day one. Me and Wolford, I think we looked really good together.
Yeah,
we didn't look bad at all. They just played really good. Francisco and David, they broke really well. Honestly, they outbroke us pretty bad on day one. That's, I think, why we lost. And in the team match, we had some racks that we should have won. And yeah, I felt like I didn't play enough on day one. And day two,
you get a lot of table time.
I played plenty. I knew that if I lose the filler and at least get a few games or get a few regs going, then I'll be playing much better in match 2 and match 3.
And that's the way it actually happened. Was you got a couple games against filler later in that first match to get you some table time and get comfortable.
Yes.
The Francisco match, it looked like you outplayed him 2-1, at the table, but it still came down to that final rack. And talk us through. Did the shot clock get you? Did that 6 ball, you had a tough time reaching it. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, it wasn't like it was tough to reach the 6. It was just tougher to draw the ball or playing stun without the extension, and I didn't have time. I looked at the clock. It wasn't like a bad decision or anything. But probably it was smarter to play follow and play for the 6 or the 7, whatever that was.
The 7 was next,
ball on the side instead of the corner. But I expected the rail to bounce a little bit more, but still the shot was makeable. It wasn't like
the 7.
It wasn't like the shot was terribly tough.
Yeah. So then you came back with Shane. You guys looked pretty good together. Couple errors there along the way, positional errors that made the match closer to maybe it should have been. But you looked, was it good to get that kind of rhythm with him?
Yeah, it was a really important point. It's a tough pill to swallow that Tyler just lost 5-0, but it's at least puts us on the map, and hopefully our team can start strong tomorrow, and things can turn around.
Now, Shane spent a lot of time today coming out and talking to you through all these matches. Obviously, that's something that was talked about after yesterday because he was kind of detached yesterday. And so, how did that help you? Did it help him?
I think it helps everybody. Shane is so important for our team. He's he's a legend and one of our team members. Everybody needs to support everybody. And yesterday, he didn't have the great day, and we supported him today. I didn't have the greatest day, and he supported me. So I think we're acting good on the team.
Tell me about the experience so far. What you thought it was going to be, bigger, wilder, more nerves, less nerves. What's your takeaway so far?
Honestly, I thought it would be much worse. I thought everybody will be hating me so bad. Everybody will be yelling whenever I'm shooting. But, the last 2 matches I played with no pressure at all. To be fair, we didn't have many rolls going our way.
No, it's been a tough couple days when it comes to rolls.
Yeah, the rolls and the break. That's where the Europeans were way better than us, and filler was just making everything from everywhere.
Yeah.
But the rest of the Europeans, they played just as bad as we did.
Yeah. Tomorrow, take another swing at it.
Oh, yes. We're playing better. We played better today than we did yesterday, and tomorrow we'll be playing better than we did today. And I think that'll be enough for us to start strong tomorrow and hopefully come back.
So you figure tomorrow's going to be pretty heavy, Shane and Sky.
Yes, Skylar will be playing singles, Shane will be playing singles, and Wolford. I mean, Wolford looks really strong. I believe the first double will be Sky and Wolford because they should have played today and they moved it to tomorrow. So that's a good double to start with. They're playing against Jason and David, so I fancy our chances in that match. And then going forward, two strong players, Skylar and Shane, and Wolford.
Are you feeling like a Team USA player?
Yeah, you didn't see me out there. I was at a mic. I said, "Let's make America great again. Let's do it." And I was pumped up when I won the match. I mean, shit, we were 6-0 down. We lose this match, it's 7-0. We can leave the London being skunked.
Yeah.
You don't want that happening.
No. Well, good luck tomorrow. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, nice job there, Mike, with the interview of Federer. I know it's got to be tough for those guys. I mean, they're right in the mix of it. As bad as we're feeling as fans of Team USA, they're living it, and they got to run back out there today. So for Federer to stand up and answer some tough questions, kudos to him. And I think he's got a bright future ahead. It's just not going to be this year at the Mosconi Cup, I don't think.
Well, there's a couple things. One, the players are taking it like men, and it, social media has been, relentless on Team USA over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But listen, these guys take it as hard and as seriously, more serious than anybody who's, busting on them. So it hurts these guys, but they are also professional players, and they play these guys all the time. They get in, they get into the mix, and they know how to win, they know how to lose, and they know how to stand up when they don't play well. So, kudos to them. They're always very upfront about how they're feeling, about how they've played. And but believe me, they all hurt inside.
Yeah, so, Mike, I want to touch on something else that Carl mentioned and something that I had thought of, and I'm sure you have as well. But yesterday I asked you about Double J, Jeremy Jones, team captain USA, his decision to lead off with Shane Van Boening first off in the team match on day one, as opposed to Sky Woodward, who has really thrived in the Mosconi Cup the past several years, of course, winning the MVP titles in 18 and 19. And then we didn't even get a chance to see him on day two. And so, with this year's Cup all but decided, I mean, was that a miscalculation in hindsight?
Certainly going to be a lot of questions asked of Jeremy from that standpoint. Listen, like I said with Carl, it's anytime it doesn't go well, it was a bad coaching decision.
Sure.
So, I understand his mindset of thinking, Federer is a great player. We want to get him some table time. Let's trot him out there a couple matches in a row. In hindsight, you might have thought, well, let's do that on day 3 and get Skylar heavy on day 2 to get you back into the match. Which one do you feel better about getting you back into the match if you're down 4-0? If things don't go well with Federer, then you saved Sky for day 3, but it's 7-1. So hindsight's 20/20. It's really easy to look at it and think of it in those terms, but they're tough coaching decisions. And I love his belief in Federer to be able to get the job done. And really, one 7 ball against Francisco, and he wins 2 out of those 3, and it doesn't look like a bad idea. There's nothing he can do about, Tyler losing at the end of the day. But for those 3 matches, if he wins 2 out of those 3, it wasn't a bad thought. So they were 1 ball away from it looking like a pretty decent coaching decision going into today, as far as I see it.
Yeah, and what is it about the 7-ball this year? I mean, Shane misses one in his second appearance in the team match. Wolford misses one. I mean, 1 7-ball from those two means we win the team match. Missed 7-ball yesterday by...
Tyler misses one in the team match.
Yeah,
in the doubles match. The 7-ball's tough. It seems to. There's been a lot of little things that have bitten Team USA in the butt a lot in the first couple of days, and there's no excuses as far as being down 7-1 and being outplayed. But you talk about roles. I mean, there's no one in the world going to tell you that Team Europe hasn't gotten some pretty sweet roles along the way, particularly Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, who really, has a couple wins under his belt, has not played well at all. So when Federer was saying, other than Filler, nobody on their team has really played any better than our play. We're just picking the really bad, bad balls to miss. Because you look at a lot of these matches and score lines, and the misses were about equal. But it's when you miss that counts. And when you miss on the 9, that hurts.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that made this year's Mosconi Cup, or has made this year's Mosconi Cup so disappointing, particularly from the American perspective, is that on paper, this appeared to be the most talented team we've had in probably well over a decade. And yet the score line, Mike, is indicative of years where we found ourselves kind of questioning the outlook of the Mosconi Cup, the future of it, Team USA's lack of competitiveness. And I'm wondering, how did we get back to where we were in 2015, 2017, where Matchroom is, cutting matches out of the daily lineup to try and eke out a fourth day? How did we get all the way back here with this team?
Well, yeah, this is, I look at it as professional sports. We've all, had favorite teams who made a championship game, and they're one of the 2 best teams, and they get absolutely run over in the championship. It happens. Things like this happen. Last year, they put up a hell of a fight. You thought they were going to be a player better this year, which meant you were going to win a couple matches back. But that, you always assumed then that all the other players were going to play just as well as they had the previous year, and you're going to add to it. That doesn't always happen. So it's just, it's one of those things where sometimes that snowball gets rolling downhill and picks up more and more snow. By the time it gets to the bottom, it's a really big roll. So it's just one of those unfortunate things. Matchroom not happy about it. Team USA is not happy about it. I don't think Team Europe's happy about it. I think they want that competitiveness. But I do think, I look at this lineup compared to some of those lineups where we're losing 11-4, 11-5, 11-3. Night and day to me. Night and day in terms of talent. So this team, Federer's going to be a great Mosconi Cup player. Okay,
Right.
It was a lot to expect him to be a great Mosconi Cup player in year 1, but he is going to be a great Mosconi Cup player for Team USA going forward. And I like Tyler's progression. I like Shane Wolford's maturity and progression. So this is a pretty good team. This is a better team than we've had in a long time. They're just getting it handed to them today.
Yeah, and I think as you look to the future, I mean, you're going to see 4, if not 5, of these guys again next year for both teams, probably. And so as you look to the future, I mean, we've talked about Matchroom is cutting back on matches to try to eke out the fourth day. You've got Carl talking about the European crowd just kind of being a little more subtle, and that probably has a lot to do with the lack of competitiveness. And I'm curious, I thought in 2018, when Team USA went into London and won that was definitely an upset. Those matches were free to anybody to watch on Facebook. I saw a lot of my non-pool player friends starting to kind of check it out, get a little bit interested. And then the next year, Matchroom goes to DAZN, and now it's a subscription-based thing. 2020, Team USA gets run over in the COVID Cup that year with no audience. A little more competitive in 21 and 22, but here we are again with this huge competitive imbalance. And I mean, does the interest level start to wane for American fans? Do you believe they'll still show up in full force next year? Assuming it's in the United States. I mean, what do we look at for the future of the Cup going forward when there's this big of a gap in talent being on display right now?
Yeah, well, I think that these cups can turn from year to year with the same group of players because it's short races, short formats, things like that. 2001, Team USA lost the first match, won 12 in a row. Came back with the exact same team the next year, and Team Europe beat them. Huge upset in 2002. So, listen, it can happen, and we certainly have the talent to run through 9-ball racks. These are not, amateur players against pros. These guys are all the European levels higher, but not insurmountable. So, as far as the interest level goes, I'll disagree with you there because the score has an impact on the enthusiasm of the crowd here so far this year. There's no doubt about that. that's kind of to be expected. Blowouts in any sport, people start leaving a little bit early, right? But the fan enthusiasm is still there. And from USA standpoint, I worry more about Europeans losing interest than the USA fans. And we all have sports teams at home, right? I'm a Chicago Bear fan. We get our hat handed to us every year by the Green Bay Packers. Every year for the last 10, 15 years. Every game, the stadium is still packed. The stadium is still enthusiastic, and Chicago fans still have belief that they can win. And I see the exact same thing here with the U.S. fans. And I would expect that next year, wherever it is in the U.S., whether it's in Vegas or somewhere else. I expect the same thing next year. The USA fans, they're pool fans. They love pool. This is their team. And so they're going to support that. I really believe that there are more U.S. fans here this week than have ever been to any international competition, outside the U.S. by far, by far. I would say that the U.S. fans in this crowd could be as high as 20%. And
Wow.
it was only, 2 or 3 Mosconi Cups ago where there were 100 U.S. fans stuck in one corner of the arena. You remember
Right.
that.
Sure.
And they got drowned out. So yeah, the enthusiasm's there. The Mosconi Cup is the Mosconi Cup. It's a rivalry. People stick with rivalries. They stick with their teams as fans as long as they keep trotting them out there.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right, and I hope the future looks brighter than certainly it does in the short term for today and the next couple of days. But it's interesting. So if my math is correct, right, we cut one match off day one match off day two matches off day three, which is 4 matches. Typically would have been 5 on day 4. So
we'll have 26 singles matches tomorrow.
yeah. So if Team USA were to do the unthinkable, I mean, you'd see as many as 10 matches tomorrow if it would go to a tiebreak. Is that right? Is my math right?
Conceivably. But if the U.S. starts their comeback tonight, if they win, say, the first 2 matches tonight, they will. I would expect them to add a 4th match tonight.
Interesting.
I think they've got one kind of on paper, ready to go. And if the U.S. can win the first 2 matches, I think they would go ahead and add a 4th match tonight.
Interesting.
But these are business decisions.
Sure.
You've got 2,500 tickets sold for tomorrow. At $60 a pop. You don't want to have to refund those people, and you've got a commitment to Sky Sports to have live broadcasting tomorrow.
Right.
So, I completely understand the business decision of it, and you go ahead and roll the dice on tomorrow and see where it takes you. And if it takes you deep into the night in the UK, maybe it holds more viewers longer because things are getting tense and excited. It would certainly draw more viewers in the US because it would be a 6-hour difference. So 2 o'clock in the morning here would be nice, 10 o'clock in the evening at home, or 8 o'clock in the evening at home, you'd be happy as a lark.
Yeah, well, it'd be a nice problem for all of us to have, no doubt. So let's look ahead.
I try to be optimistic as much as I can.
Right. So optimism aside, give me your honest predictions for day 3. So we're going to see Jason Shaw, David Al-Kaidi against Sky Woodward and Shane Wolford in the first match, doubles match. Second match, we've got Sky Woodward and Jason Shaw going head-to-head. And then third match of the day, Sky Woodward once again, this time with Federer Gorst. Jason Shaw once again, this time with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Yeah. What do you think on day 3? A heavy dose of Sky, heavy dose of Shaw.
Yeah, that's the way it lines up, and that's a good way to have it. Shaw's the entertainer. He's the vocal guy on that team. He's going to be riling everybody up. Sky can handle that without doubt. He has in the past, and he's shown that he's got that temperament to do that. So, I expect Sky to show up and play really well. I expect him to put some heat on Jason, and we'll see how Jason holds up to that. I don't think he's going to be freewheeling like he has in the past. Shane Wolford's going to be a big piece of that first match puzzle to see if Team USA can get off the schneid and get a match back right out of the gate.
Yeah. So I know we're only 2 days into this, but again, for everything but the match, the outcome decided. If you had to pick an MVP right now, and I think I know who you would pick, but I want to hear it from you. If you had to pick an MVP right now, who's the MVP for this year's Mosconi Cup?
Josh Filler. It's not even close, not even a question. This guy is a stone cold killer. The shots he made last night, the shots he took that I think a lot of people would question some of them. He just doesn't miss, and he loves this atmosphere. He thrives on it. He thrives on pressure. He thrives on playing the toughest competitors he can play, and he just gets into this other world, this Josh world. That I think he even watches videos later and just looks at himself and shakes his head about why he does what he does. But that's the way he gets himself dialed in, and he's the best player on the planet.
Yeah, he has no doubt been a star since the day one of the Mosconi Cup in 2017. I remember him as a rookie, and he certainly had no issues in Las Vegas that year and coming in and showing his talent. So what are the chances we can get him and Pia to move to the States and maybe we import them onto – is that a long shot? Is that probably a longer shot than Team USA making the comeback?
Yeah, probably. Probably.
We can always hope. So, all right, Mike, well, we're going to let you run. I know you're about 20 minutes away from the action getting underway there at Alexandra Palace. Appreciate all your efforts this week to keep us informed of what's going on. And obviously it hasn't gone the way that we'd hoped, but, never say never, Mike. We'll keep our rally caps on and hope for something special.
It's always the Mosconi Cup, and it's always fun no matter what happens. So it's just, everybody sit back and just enjoy some great pool with some great people and great atmosphere.
All right. Thanks again, buddy. We'll see you soon.
You bet.